Heyo, what's up? It's Chris. Checking in with you guys from the nation's capital here in DC. I'm currently at the Washington Memorial, having a great old time trying to understand why big tech is running our country and why they're able to censor people, including the President of the United States, myself, anyone else who might want to speak out. It's getting a little old, especially because I didn't want to talk about anything to do with censorship today or really ever. So with that said, I'm here to celebrate our country, not the fact that we can't speak in our country. So it's a little frustrating when you get ready to do a little live chat or you're trying to let people know what's going on, but you're unable to because of censorship. That is awfully annoying. So let me focus in on myself for a second, catch my breath, because I wasn't here to talk about censorship to begin with. What I was trying to talk about is presence, and how presence is very important for just myself, everybody. Until you're actually able to be present, then we're going to continue to experience a lot of these external noise sources telling us what is in the news or what we're supposed to think or feel or believe. Now, one of the reasons I came down to the nation's capital today is I wanted to see for myself what's going on, right? It's easy to just subscribe to Fox News or CNN or whatever your preferred news source is and have them spoon feeding you what's happening or what's going on at the nation's capital. Now, I came down in the hopes of documenting a lot of this, which is why I brought a camera. Mostly because of a couple reasons. Number one, I wanted to have my cell phone off so I'm not tracked by our federal government, because I don't like to be tracked. There's no reason for them to track me. You know, I'm just a private citizen and I don't need to be tracked. And so my plan was to actually just document today with my own camera, which I've done to a certain extent. Now, the other reason I came down was to see really if there is anything going on as far as people protesting, how this transition of power is going to go. There was a lot of weird things that happened last week that probably a lot of you know about. One is in our nation's capital, there was a story that surfaced about how people from the Trump organization, or MAGA related, may have gotten into the Capitol. And I've heard from a couple different sources that story may not have been 100% accurate, right? Matter of fact, I've heard that there was police on one side of the barrier protecting the Capitol and protesters on the other side, and we're allowed to protest. You know, it's our right as an American citizen to voice our opinion, and we should do that. And the police actually are the ones who opened the barricade and then let everyone into the Capitol, right? Removed the barricade, started waving everyone in and yelling, "Go, go, go." That's a very strange video. Now, the thing is, my eyes normally don't deceive me, which is why I'm here to document this for myself. So when I see visual footage like that, it makes me feel a certain way. And this particular video made me feel like there was something else going on that I wasn't privy to, or that wasn't being disclosed through the news source. Now, my own personal belief is that there was an operation that was conducted and that they came up with a lot of information from the people in the Capitol who were under guard. So the people who were under guard, some high-level ranking officials of our government, were held to protect them. And the people who got into the building, I think, actually came up with some hardware that they took. And I think they took up to like 10 or 15 different pieces of equipment. Now, I can't confirm this. I don't know. This is all speculative. But one of those pieces of equipment could be a laptop belonging to Nancy Pelosi. Now, if this is true, and there was an operation conducted, and they did recover hardware, I think we're going to see a lot of information surface over the next 9 days through this transition of power from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. As a matter of fact, I would be shocked if that were not the case. It's a little hard to know what's really going on right now because of big tech, unfortunately, and because of our politicians, unfortunately. And that is on both sides. Whether it's Democrat or Republican, I think we're being misled. And I think there's a lot of information that they don't want us to know. And I feel a little uncomfortable with that knowledge. So my whole rant today was really just going to be about presence. It was not really supposed to be about politics. The only reason I'm even down here was to document this for myself. And the only reason I went into a rant about censorship is because I'm being censored. And I can't actually speak on Instagram on a live video, for instance. They figured out a way for no one to be able to hear me and then to not be able to save my videos on Instagram Live. So I'm unfortunately going to have to take just a random video. I'll try to upload this later, and maybe it won't be able to be saved. That's not really the point. The only reason that was front of mind is because it's a little annoying. Having big tech say what can or can't be said inside of this country is not an American tradition. That's a new thing, right? And so we're starting to have to wrap our heads around what does this mean for us? And how are we going to handle this issue going forward? Because believe me, it is an issue. And our founding fathers would be rolling in their graves right now knowing that an external agency has this much influence and power over our own political process. There's absolutely no reason for that. And so what I'm suggesting is Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Google and Amazon are all in this together. They're all working against us, and they're doing it very effectively. And you might not believe that, and if you don't believe it, it's cool. You should do some research. And it's going to be difficult for you to find the information. Really difficult. There's something called astroturfing. What that means is you plant a lot of stories that are supporting the narrative. And so you might look through 20 pages on Facebook or Google, and it's all going to be confirmation bias, which means all of the story and all the narrative that you're listening to is what they're trying to reinforce, okay? There's a skill in life called critical thinking. What I like about it, it doesn't involve a lot of external sources. It involves yourself being able to ask yourself some serious questions and being honest with yourself, not about how that makes you feel, more about what your gut instincts is telling you as far as what's right or wrong. Now, we all have parents, we all have ancestors, and for most of us, those ancestors told us what was right or wrong, and the reason that we can trust their judgment is they must have had a pretty good grasp on it, otherwise we wouldn't be here to begin with. So when it comes to being present, one of the first steps you want to do is actually start to honor your ancestors. Again, the reason you should do that is because you wouldn't exist without them. So once you start adopting that purview and having that become part of your life, it's a great thing. It makes you feel present, right? No one is in charge of you. You're in charge of yourself. Free will is a great thing. And having your own ability to think your own thoughts is a beautiful thing, right? It's saddening to me that a lot of people will always subscribe to whatever narrative they're being told to subscribe to. And that doesn't include just being an independent thinker. Regardless of your political stance, regardless of your views, it's very important for the sovereignty of this country to be able to express your thoughts without any external forces. And I think as we go along as a country, the more that we can do that, the more unbiased we'll be when we have to make big decisions, and whether that be for our country or in our own lives. So what I'm suggesting today is, Focus on yourself. What can you control? Can you be more present with your thoughts? Is it possible that you shouldn't subscribe to and believe everything you're being told from an external source? Probably. When's the last time someone gave you great advice that was free advice? Usually free advice is really shitty advice and you shouldn't listen to it. Okay? The reason it might be free advice is because it's not free. On the back end, they're trying to get all the money they can. I mean, if you want to really break this down, and have it not be very complicated or complex as far as what I'm saying, follow the money trail, okay? We all have fancy smartphone devices. We all have internet connections. We all are consumers, okay? We're being capitalized on for a reason, okay? And whether that's, West Virginia or Nebraska or North Dakota or Montana or whatever state you live in, you're up against these same issues. You're a consumer in Utah, okay? These businesses don't have your best heart at interest. They're your best interest at heart, rather. There is something called capitalism, and it has pervaded our legal system and our political system and all the systems in this country, essentially. So if you want to get a hamburger, there's a bunch of companies that are competing for that business to sell you a hamburger, okay? It's unfortunate. It really is, especially because hamburgers will kill you. Either way, what I'm suggesting is let's focus a little bit more on ourselves, what our own thought patterns are, how that affects our own reality, and start working on really just trying to be more present in your own life. Because you're smart, you're going to make all the decisions just like your ancestors did in order for someone else to be here after you. So with that being said, I'm not here to rant and tell anyone how to live their life or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is go on record as far as what my own personal beliefs are. Maybe this resonates with someone, maybe it doesn't. Ultimately, we all have to reach our own conclusions ourselves. And that's all I'm doing throughout this process. I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I'm telling you to think critically just like I've been able to. And once you do, you'll start seeing through a lot of BS. Okay? I think we're going to have a very interesting next 9 days. Okay? There's potentially going to be a shitstorm of information being released about our corrupt officials. And that includes big tech and big pharma and other countries' involvement, including Italy, France, Germany. I've heard that the Vatican's blacked out. I've heard that Pakistan is blacked out. Now, there might be a reason for that. Maybe something really good is happening right now. Maybe it is the Great Awakening and it is a big shift that's happening where people are no longer willing to tolerate corruption. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, that's the page I'm on. If we can start to unify as a country, start to love each other, start to be present, start to respect ourselves and our ancestors, there's a place for everyone in this society, okay? Except for seditious, corrupt politicians. I'm actually okay with them being brought up on charges, or, maybe something that's just a little quicker, more severe. Either way, this is Stay Awake Chris signing out. I'm wishing you all the best. It's Monday. Let's kick off a great week. Don't have anyone limit your potential. Say what you can or can't do. The world is your oyster. You don't need to ask anyone's permission for whatever station you're trying to reach in life. Just go after it. Follow your dreams. Continue being present. Try to not get stuck and bogged down by all these stories that are making us all fearful and scared. They're making us fearful and scared for a reason. Okay? Don't buy into the hype. You're the same person you were before you listened to this video. And if you want to start making some changes in your life because you think you should, then you should listen to your instincts and do that. If you think you got everything figured out, then good. You don't need to do that, Good on you. Matter of fact, if you think you have everything figured out, go ahead and send me a message and let me know what books you're reading and what information I can look into so I can continue learning on my quest, Look, we're all in this together. I love each one of you individually. I appreciate everyone who's part of the Stay Awake community. This is about equal representation. Everyone's feedback and comments are important to me. I read each one of them. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the comments and a lot of the feedback, but that's okay. I have something to learn from every person in this community, okay? And I'm not looking to have a community of people I get along with so we can all sit around singing Kumbaya. I like to know that people are thinking for themselves, and I'm open to have a dialogue with that, okay? You should be too. And that includes people who are Republican or Democrat or conservative or progressive. Just because of their affiliation doesn't mean you should judge them and size them up. So if we can stop doing that, it's going to serve us a lot better.